Okay, is everybody ready? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Virginia City Council Chambers. Today's date is Tuesday, April 9th, 2024. The time is 5 p.m. We have a regularly scheduled City Council meeting at 5:30. At 5 o'clock today, I'll call this meeting to order for the purpose of the notice of a public hearing, and I'll read it as follows. Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Virginia, Minnesota will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, April 9th, 2024 at approximately 5 p.m. at the City Council Chambers in the City Hall located at 327 First Street South in Virginia, Minnesota, relating to the city's adoption of proposed establishment of a tax increment financing district 7-1, a redevelopment tax increment financing district to be located in St. Louis County, the TIF district, and the tax increment financing plan thereof, or the plans, are pursuant to Minnesota statutes section 469.124 through 469.133 and Minnesota statutes section 469.174 through 469.1794 as amended, Copies of the plans are on file and available for public inspection at the office of the city clerk here at City Hall in Virginia, Minnesota. The property to be included in the proposed tax increment financing, District Number 7-1, is located within the Municipal Development District Number 7 and in the city limits of the city of Virginia. A map of the Municipal Development District Number 7 and proposed tax increment financing District 7.1 therein is set forth below. Subject to certain limitations, tax increments from proposed tax increment financing District 7-1 may be spent on eligible uses within the boundaries of the Municipal Development District Number 7. All interested persons may appear at the hearing and present their views orally or prior to the meeting in writing. By order of the City Council of the City of Virginia, by our clerk, which is Pamela Bean, and our city administrator, in absence of our city clerk, Britt C. Bennis. Okay, I will go to the council. Did any city council receive any emails, calls, or information or questions about this meeting this evening? Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. I did receive, I guess, dropped off, and it was this packet right here, and just a question, is this the time
yeah, please
to
do.
ask it?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So it'd be page 5, under section 2.09, Administration and Maintenance of the Development District. And paragraph 1, it basically states our city administrator will be responsible for maintenance and operation of the development district. And the question was, the maintenance and operation, our city administrator has to put together a maintenance and operation budget for the following year. And what does that entail? And the question was, why would the city have to create a maintenance and operating budget when that should be, they thought it should be the responsibility of the actual, I would say, rock step. And I don't know if that's just a standard what we do in a TIF district anyway, but that was the one question that I did receive, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Would we have an answer to that? Tammy? Tammy Amdahl from Northland Securities, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, for the welcome.
Thank you.
Tammy Umdahl, serving as advisor to the city on the consideration and establishment of this TIF district. And yes, I can answer that question. So section 2.09 that you're referring to, the TIF plan, that is standard language. And what that means, under Minnesota law, tax increment financing districts, when a city is establishing it versus an authority such as an EDA or HRA, is the larger project area. Some cities have the project area, which is the case for Virginia in this proposed development district and TIF district, for the boundaries to be coterminous. So the boundaries of the TIF district will be the same as the boundaries of development district number 7. That language of the city administrator being responsible for the budget is statutory required language. Practically what this means in this case, because your project area is the same as the TIF district, the budget for the TIF district will serve as the budget for the development district, and that is included in the plan, and I believe it's figure 3.1 or 4.1, which I won't refer you to unless there are questions.
Thank you. And then would that, that's actually being provided then by the developer?
So in the case of this TIF district, the TIF district, all of the increment is going to be used to support, if you approve the TIF plan, the project costs within the TIF plan. So in this case, the city, unless you would at a future date for some unknown reason as we stand here today, modify this plan, there will not be any additional costs. So the projected tax increment will fund the budget that is included. In this case, the budget for the TIF district is the same as the budget for the development district.
Thank you so much for that clarification.
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Paulson. Thank you. If you could just
I'll stand by.
stand by, thank you. And also, I'd like to recognize in the crowd Mia Thibodeau from Freiburger. Welcome. Thank you very much. If do you have anything that you'd like to offer at this point in time?
I think Tammy did a great job. Oh, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have anything to add at this moment unless there are additional questions. Tammy answered that question very well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. And we have Jody Vest in the audience. She is the manager and representative for Rockstep. Welcome, Jody, to the public hearing. Any other council or staff member received any information, emails, or anything with respect to this public hearing? Councilor Motley.
I did have one person reach out to me, our commissioner, Keith Nelson, voicing concern in regards to the TIF district.
Yeah, thank you, and we'll get to that piece momentarily. Thank you very much. So anybody else? Rick, did you receive any other emails, phone communication, any other form of data concerning this particular public hearing? Okay. We do have one letter that was submitted. It's dated Thursday, February 22nd, 2024, from our distinguished 6th District Commissioner, Mr. Keith Nelson. And I will read this as follows to all. I do not support the use of TIF for this district. For this project, I would consider an abatement for a period of 10 years, but any longer than that is unacceptable to me. If an abatement of the county's portion of the property tax works for the city, please let my office know. Abatement does not affect the school's portion of the property taxes, which is my primary concern. Sincerely, Commissioner Keith Nelson. Mr. Nelson, Commissioner, is in the audience right now. Would you have any other information or comments you'd like to make at this time? Commissioner Nelson? Yeah, please come forward. Thank you very much. And Commissioner Nelson, welcome to the City Council.
Thank you, Mayor Cuffey and councilors. That was my response to the request for a TIF district, which is standard operating procedure. The St. Louis County Board has nothing, we have nothing more that we can say about a TIF district if you decide to issue one. And that's totally a decision of the Virginia City Council. The only input that my office has is to require this public hearing. And that is it. But as I read through this, and that's my standard response to all TIF districts, to be honest with you, is the response I gave the city of Virginia. Now, there have been exceptions in my tenure where I have went along with cities on doing TIFs where I really felt that it was 100% necessary. But creating of TIFs, in my opinion, in my experience, is the most convoluted process that I know of in government. It is confusing. It's designed to be confusing, folks, because they don't want you to understand what's going on. But what is going on is taxes are going up in your community. That's what's going on. And the more I read into this plan, to be honest with you today, Mayor Cuffey and councilors, I can't even support an abatement. Because the more I read in this plan, the more confused I got. I've spent the better part of my career as your county commissioner working on TIF districts in the city of Duluth. Those TIF districts down there cost us millions of dollars every year. They cost taxpayers, every one of you, myself included, millions of dollars goes into those downtown TIF districts in Duluth. Some of them have been in existence for 50 years. Because what they do is they take a TIF district, and when it's about to retire after 25 years, they envelope it into another TIF district. So if that TIF district was this big, they then create a TIF district this big to encompass the old TIF district. Folks, I get confused on this project. I see TIF as corporate welfare. That's what I see it as, corporate welfare. For those of you that don't know my past history, I've been in business basically for 45, 46 years. I've never accepted a nickel from the government. not a nickel. Here you have a proposal in front of you, and what gets confusing on it to me is this. They say that the repairs to bring it up to compliance is going to cost $8 million. And they're asking for a TIF of $500,000. If this is a good idea for the corporation that owns the mall, my question is, why don't they just go ahead and do it? They're charging rent to all of the businesses that are in there. And this is, in my opinion at least, the prime property in the city of Virginia to have a business. And to give up that tax, because that's what they're asking you to do. But they're asking you to give up the city's portion. They're asking you to give up the county's portion, which concerns me because that affects all of the taxpayers I represent, and the school portion. Which means taxes are going up for everyone else to cover this for the 15 years of the TIF, with the hope that at the end of this TIF, it will raise the value of the property so that all of the taxpayers will then recover their money. In my opinion, after reading this business plan and reading what's in here, and please, page 32 shows the $8 million. Early on in the report, it shows the $500,000. I get confused. When I look at what it's valued at and what it's paying in taxes, I think it's very appropriate. I had our assessor double check it with other parcels, and all of that information is very appropriate. They're being taxed very appropriately. But my question, I guess, if I was a business person in the city of Virginia right now, I'd be asking, where's mine? Where's mine? If you're going to give it to the owner of this, where's mine? And if I was a residential taxpayer in this city, I would be asking, why are we giving up tax base that we currently have? Why are we giving that up? All TIF districts have to pass a but-for test. And believe me, in my 22 years on the county board, I have signed off on TIFs, I've signed off on abatements. I can't tell you that every one of them passed a but-for test, but I can tell you that I looked at them hard. This is the poorest example that I have ever seen in front of my office. And that's just my opinion at this point, Mr. Mayor and councilors. I'll stop with that because this is your decision to make. But I urge you to spend some time in this report. And if you have questions on it, we have experts that would be more than willing to give you a opinion that is not someone who's benefiting from this financially. And that would be Darren Jablonski in our planning department, who is an absolute expert on TIF districts. So if there's any desire from anyone to get answers to anything that's in here that you don't understand, I'm more than happy to provide access to Mr. Jablonski or even to this council as a whole to ask questions, because there again, you would have an unbiased opinion that I think in looking at this point in time, I believe this council and you, Mr. Mayor, need to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Nelson. Any questions or comments from the council with respect to that? If we could just hold one moment, if you would, please, Commissioner. Councilor Johnson.
Thank you. Commissioner, is this an official from the St. Louis County Board, or is this your personal opinion?
Mayor Cuffey and Councilor Johnson, this is my opinion as the elected official representing this area. I represent the 6th district. Even though I chair the county board, I'm only one commissioner on the county board. So I'm speaking for this commissioner in this district.
So not for the entire county board?
Again, Mayor Cuffey, Councilor Johnson, not for the entire county board.
Thank
no,
you.
sir. I do not have that right.
I have a few other questions, if I might. Did you have any reservations about the TIF district for the hotel?
Mayor Cuffey and Councilor Johnson, I have discussed briefly the hotel with Mayor Cuffey in the past, and I have indicated, and I believe I also discussed it with former Councilor Baraboo in the past, and I have stated publicly that I will support a TIF district for that.
Okay.
And it's because, if I may,
My next question, sir, is who are they?
I'm sorry, Councilor Johnson, if I may
No,
expand on that.
you answered my question. I appreciate that. I don't need an explanation at this time.
Thank you.
And then who is they? You referred to they multiple times. They changed the TIF district. They do this, they do that. Who are they?
Mayor Cuffey and Councilor Johnson, I don't understand the question.
When you were talking to us as a group, you said they changed the tax district. They make it bigger.
I was referring to my experience in the city of Duluth with TIF districts on which I base the knowledge that I have on the use of tax increment financing, Councilor Johnson.
Yeah, and my question is, you kept referring to the elected officials in Duluth? Who?
Yeah, they would be the elected officials, the mayor and administration within the city of Duluth.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So we are not they. We are different about elected officials.
Councilor Johnson, I believe I thought I stated it clearly enough that they is the city of Duluth. I did not ever refer to they in addressing you, Councilor Johnson, or Mayor Cuffey, or this council.
Correct. And I want to clarify a couple of points that this TIF district is only for the $500,000. The rest of the tax money that they're currently paying, and Britt, will you correct me if I'm wrong, will continue to go to pay taxes. We are just looking at this $500,000 portion. The $8 million you talked about has, in my understanding, has nothing to do with the TIF itself. It only is the $500,000, and if that is not correct, I would appreciate the clarification on that.
I don't believe that was a question of me, but I don't know how to respond.
Is there an answer that you know, either one of you could provide? Tammy or Mia, please.
Tammy Umdahl with Northland Securities. That is correct. The amount of assistance and subject to that agreement, if approved tonight, is the $500,000.
Thank you.
If that is the question, Counselor.
Thank you, yes. And then I have a comment, Mayor. So many times, the calls I do get are about clothing stores and quality of life and making improvements. And for a $500,000 investment in taxpayer dollars that will be returned to us, we are getting multiple quality of life stores coming into our community so that we don't have to drive to other communities an hour away to find clothing stores, to find other fast food, to find other things we need. So with all due respect, I have to disagree with just about everything you said, Commissioner. We are looking forward for this community, and I respect that you have to look forward for the entire county, and that's what you were elected for. But I just want to make sure that we're clarifying that the things that are supposed to be coming are things that our community has been asking us, this body, before I got here for years and years and years, and that a company is willing to come in and asking, and they only asked for it because the cost of everything increased. If we were able to have done this pre-pandemic, they wouldn't have needed any extra money. Is that right, Ms. Vissel? Is that kind of what you came to us and shared with us? As we know, the cost of everything has increased, and it continues to increase. And so for the city to be able to figure out how do we help an organization in this community make our community better, I think $500,000 over 15 years is a very good investment in how we need to move forward. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilor Johnson, Commissioner Nelson, anything other comments you'd like to make? You're welcome to do so. Otherwise, yeah, please come forward. I just want to say, as you come to the podium, We have had many meetings in a variety of capacities, and I know I've seen other correspondence from you with respect to your professional opinion with respect to whatever the issue is. In this particular case is TIF. I value your opinion. I respect your opinion moving forward and your perspective on things. And we will obviously take this into account as all the other comments into account when we make our decisions. So we appreciate you coming in and giving your perspective on things. Commissioner Nelson.
And Mayor Cuffey, and I appreciate that, and I apologize. When I answer a question for you, Mayor Cuffey, or for all of you as counselors, I also try to give some background on it. I was unable to do that on Councilor Johnson's question. That's okay, but I always try and give the background of it. And by the way, the $500,000 is plus the $400 and some thousand of interest that's also involved in this TIF district. Okay?
Yes.
And thank you for responding with Councilor Johnson. Taxpayer money. That is the key to me, is taxpayer money. That's what we're talking about here. And that's the position, quite frankly, that I ran on over 20 years ago, saying that I don't support corporate welfare. And again, understanding that on some new developments, like what the city is proposing, which I applaud this city for doing, proposing the other amenities around your sports center, then this commissioner is going to stand there and be ready to support whatever the city wants, as I have countless times in the past. This is the first time I ever recall coming in front of this council and, quite frankly, disagreeing with something that is in front of this council. It's not my job. My job is to support you. But when it comes to TIF, then my job is to defend taxpayers, period. And that's what I'm here doing.
Thank you, Commissioner Nelson. Any other questions or comments from the council? Anybody from the general public who's currently here awaiting the city council that want to speak on behalf of the TIF district itself, this particular public hearing? Great. What is that council action that we're looking for today?
During the regular meeting and under discussion items are the two resolutions that we're looking to pass.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Under the regular meeting, under the regular agenda, we need to discuss it and under discussion items, 8.1 and 8.2.
Yes, and I see that on the agenda, but is there anything else that
Nope,
we
that's
need? Okay, do you have any other comments at all, Britt? Anything from our legal?
Nothing from legal, Mayor.
Anything from Jenny, from our planning department? Jenny?
No, thank you, Mayor. This has been a project that's been fun to work on with our consultants and with the developer, so thank you for allowing me to be a part of that.
Okay, thank you. Sherry?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Tammy, Mia, any other questions, comments? We appreciate you coming up, taking the trip to come all the way up to get this accomplished. Thank you, everybody. If there's no other comments, questions that anyone, we do have one more. Councilor Paulson. Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. So if I don't want to keep anyone longer than needed, but if we could go over on page 16, it has basically on there the tax net capacity, the captured tax capacity, and the percentage of total net tax capacity. And if we could maybe have someone, one of you guys maybe go over that and explain the tax implications to the citizens of Virginia. It states also the county and then the school district. How, if you could break that into, it's right here in the percentage in the packet, but for our general audience that is listening and can try to catch on to what we're doing here. And then it would be possible to also do that in a dollar value to explain that to our constituents.
Mayor, Counselor. So as mentioned during the public comment, under tax increment financing in Minnesota law, the City Council, in the resolution that you will consider later during the regular City Council meeting, there is a but-for finding. And it is the council that makes the determination that but for the establishment of this TIF district and the proposed assistance, that the project as proposed would not go forward in its current form. Doesn't mean nothing wouldn't happen, doesn't mean that there wouldn't be some redevelopment of the site, but the project as proposed would not move forward. In that case, if the council makes that finding, you are also making the finding that the tax increment, so the increase in value as a result of the tax increment assistance, would not occur but for. So there would not be an increase in the city, the county, and the school district taxes that are being captured without the assistance. That is a legislative decision. You get to make that finding. That is always a tough finding. You rely on your consultants, you rely on information from your staff to make that determination, that but for. So to answer your question, while the plan shows the portion, and I will refer to those numbers in a moment, that are captured, as I share those numbers with you, keep in mind that if you pass that resolution, you are making that finding that but for this TIF, that revenue would not be available to go to the county, the city, and the school district. There are some taxes that are not captured. The state property tax is not captured, and the school referendum tax is not captured in a TIF district by state law. You don't have that choice. So to answer your question more specifically, Counselor, so on page 16, Exhibit 3, there is a bunch of calculations. I would note these calculations are required by state law. So whether it's Virginia or another city, there's always a similar calculation in a tax increment financing plan in Minnesota. And one of those calculations is the percent of tax base. And how the math works is it looks at the respective current net tax capacity of the three respective taxing jurisdictions, the city, the county, and the school district. And on a percentage basis, it says of the estimated captured tax capacity. And for those viewing, tax capacity is simply a mathematic formula of taxable market value applied against class rates as determined by the state. So in the case of this proposed TIF district number 7-1 in Virginia, the city of Virginia, the captured tax capacity is estimated at $28,616. Those are not taxes, that's captured tax capacity. As a percent of the total, the city would be 0.63%. The county would be 0.01% based upon its total tax capacity, much larger than the city and the school. And the school district, 2909, would be 0.22%. Those are required calculations. The other required calculation is the dollar impact of affected taxing jurisdictions in the next section in Exhibit 3 of the Tax Increment Financing Plan, which is available in the Council's packet that was published for this meeting. And that shows that the tax increment share, if added to the local tax rate of those respective taxing jurisdictions, what that would be. For the city of Virginia, 0.8%. For St. Louis County, 0.006, and for the school district, 0.18. While you didn't refer to this specific exhibit, I will refer to it if I may, Counselor and Mayor.
Please.
Exhibit 4 shows of the taxes, it splits it up between the city, the county, the school, and there's a small amount of other related, I believe, for watershed districts. And so here I want to make the point that, let's just pick year 2026. The total estimated tax increment to be generated if the value turns out as estimated, in this case the county assessor did review and gave a preliminary indication. Maybe higher, maybe won't be lower because there's going to be a minimum assessment agreement, but it could be higher. Approximately $19,000. Of that, because the city's tax rate is the highest of the three taxing jurisdictions, you are the largest portion of that, $12,800. The county is $5,175, the school district $823, and the other districts $239. Back to my early comments, and Mayor, I'll wrap up then. So that $19,000, if you establish this TIF district and make the but for, you are making the finding that but for this establishing the TIF district, this project as proposed would not go forward. I'm going to repeat myself. Doesn't mean nothing would happen on that site. It's that it would not be redeveloped in the manner that is being proposed. So that means that approximately $20,000 of taxes would not be available or generated under this project. That was a very long answer to your very simple question, but I wanted to give some context, Counselor. Thank you. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Does that answer your question, Councillor Paulson? Very good, thank you. Okay, any other questions, comments, concerns regarding this public hearing? Seeing and hearing none, we will adjourn this public hearing. It is 5:35 p.m. This public hearing is closed. We stand adjourned, and we'll be preparing for our council meeting in a minute or so. So thank you everyone for coming. We stand adjourned of this public hearing. Okay, everybody ready? We'll begin the city council meeting. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Virginia City Council Chambers. This is a regularly scheduled city council meeting. We'll call this meeting to order. Today's date is Tuesday, April 9th, 2024. The time is 5:35 p.m. We were 5 minutes late as a result of the public hearing going over a little bit than we had originally anticipated, but we are now in public session of our city council meeting. Sherry, would you please take the roll call?
Motley.
Here.
Freelib.
Here.
Paulson.
Present.
Beyondich.
Present.
Johnson.
Here.
Barnzelli. Mayor Cuffey.
Present. Would everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, thank you. We'll move to item 4, the public forum. But before we go to the general audience for appearances and addressing the council this evening, we have a proclamation to present in recognition of National Library Week 2024. And I'll read this as follows on our item 4.1. Whereas libraries offer the opportunity for everyone to connect with others, learn new skills, and pursue their passions no matter where they are on life's journey. Whereas libraries have long served as trusted institutions, striving to ensure equitable access to information and services for all members of the community, regardless of race, ethnicity, creed, ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or socioeconomic status. Whereas libraries adapt to the ever-changing needs of their communities, developing and expanding collections, programs, services that are as diverse as the population that they serve. Whereas libraries are accessible and inclusive places to promote a sense of local connection, advancing understanding, civic engagement, and shared community goals. And whereas libraries play a pivotal role in economic development by providing resources and support for job seekers, entrepreneurs, and small businesses, thus contributing to the local prosperity and growth. Whereas libraries make choices that are good for the environment and make a sense of economically creating thriving communities for a better tomorrow. Whereas libraries are treasured institutions that preserve our collective heritage and knowledge, safeguarding both physical and digital resources for present and future generations. Whereas libraries are an essential public good and fundamental institutions in democratic societies working to improve society, protect the right of education and literacy, and promote the free exchange of information and ideas for all. Whereas librarians, and library workers are joining library supporters and advocates across this nation to celebrate National Library Week. Now therefore be resolved that I, Larry Cuffey Jr., Mayor of the City of Virginia, and the City Council members do hereby proclaim the week of April 7th through the 13th, 2024 as National Library Week in the City of Virginia. During this week, we all encourage all residents to visit their library and celebrate the adventures and opportunities they unlock for us every day. Ready? Set? Let's go to the library. So thank you very much. Okay. Excellent. Yes, please, Councilor Johnson.
I will use this opportunity to say that the Breakfast Connections is tomorrow morning at 7:45 at the library, and it'll probably get brought up at the end. So if you're an early morning person, please stop by the library and you can check it out in person without all the pressure to check out books. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Johnson. Well, we're going to move to item 5, the consent agenda. We have some consent agenda items would probably require some additional discussion, but we'll go through them. The following items will be enacted by one motion unless a councilor or a citizen of the City of Virginia requests that the item be considered separately. Item 5.1 is the approval correction of the minutes of the regular meeting that was held on March 26, 2024. Item 5.2, adoption of finance resolution number 24-007, the schedule of bills. Item 5.3, approve the following travel requests. 5.3A, any councilor, mayor, or administrative staff to attend the League of Minnesota Cities Annual Conference, June 26th through the 28th, 2024 in Rochester, Minnesota, at a cost for first-time attendees at $275 and other attendees at $425 per person plus mileage and lodging. Item 5.3B, Matthew Warren, police officer, to attend the Emergency Vehicle Operations Course, April 19th, 2024 in Hibbing at a cost of $200, which is a mandatory training on the Post Police Officer Standards Training Board licensure requirements. And item 5.3C, Max Olson, police officer, to attend the Foundation Instructor Training, August 11th through 16th, 2024 in St. Peter, Minnesota, at a cost of $1,952.82 plus overtime. This is the new defensive tactics, the way the officers deal and handle suspects when making an arrest. It's the use of force continuum adjustment within the state statute 609.66, which is the use of force. And those are the items that are on the consent agenda this evening for consideration. I'm looking for a motion from the council.
Move the consent agenda.
Councilor Johnson moves to approve the consent agenda. Is there support? Support by Councilor Barnzelli. Further discussion, Councilor Beyondich. Councilor Paulson.
Mayor, I would like to pull 5.2 for recusal.
Okay. Item, Councilor Paulson request to remove item 5.2 for additional discussion was the adoption of finance resolution number 24-007, the schedule of bills. Councilor Motley.
I'd like to pull 5.3A.
Councilor Motley is requesting to point 5.3A, which is the travel request for any council, mayor, administrative staff to attend the League of Minnesota Cities Annual Conference, June 26, 28th, 2024 in Rochester, Minnesota. So all those in favor of approving 5.1 and 5.3, B and C, is there any further discussion there? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Back to item 5.2, the adoption of finance resolution number 24-007, schedule of bills. Councilor Paulson.
Someone can move to approve it, I just have to recuse,
Okay, you move to
because I'm a
approve.
part of that.
Okay, so thank you. Thank you for that
I don't think I can move to approve.
Thank you for that
you.
clarification, Councilor Paulson. So, looking for there wasn't a motion. There wasn't a motion on the floor to approve the other items. So, again, item 5.2 has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries with one recusal.
Recuse.
Thank you. Okay, item 5.3A, Councilor Motley.
So during the budget levy meetings last year, I thought we removed any travel expenses for council and or mayor if it wasn't emergent, and I just don't agree with taxpayer money being used to pay for this LMC annual conference in light of our current budget situation, so I will not be supporting this. Thank you.
Okay.
But I just want to clarify that I think it'd be fine if Counselor or Mayor wants to go, but it shouldn't be on the taxpayers' dime. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Motley. I apologize, Councillor Beyondich, I didn't see your light on. Would you like to comment on anything? Did you still want to go back?
We can wait till this is.
Okay, thank you. So, has been moved and supported to approve item 5.3A. Any council, mayor, or administrative staff to attend the League of Minnesota Cities Annual Conference, June 26, 28, 2024 in Rochester, Minnesota, at a cost of $275 for first-timers and then $425 for regular members. In addition, there will be hotel meals and parking and mileage. So, any further discussion there?
No, just besides, I don't believe it was moved or supported yet. We pulled it.
Right, it was moved and supported. Yeah, was there any further discussion? Anybody have anything more to discuss before we?
It was not moved or supported. I pulled it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Councillor Johnson did move and support the entire agenda, and it was moved and supported to do that. And then we approved the others. So it was moved and supported by Councillor Johnson. We're just looking for, we're revisiting the item that was pulled that was moved and supported. So we're going to be voting on this. So we can, is that correct? Or do we need another motion? It would be cleanest to do it by. Okay, fine. We'll do it clean by an independent motion. Councillor Motley.
I'm not making a motion to support this.
I will move 5.3A.
Okay, Councillor Johnson moves to approve 5.3A. Is there support? Support by Councillor Freelieb. Is there any further discussion? I just have one discussion item. If we want to send a staff member there, that's fine. But in light of our budget, I'm not going to support this either. So it has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Roll call, please.
Motley,
No.
Freelieb. Paulson,
No.
Beyondich. Johnson,
Aye.
Arnzelli. Mayor Cuffey.
No. Motion fails 4-3. Okay, thank you.
I will move that we authorize staff to go, as it is a great learning opportunity, and if we don't learn, we will not move forward as a city.
So your motion is to send staff people, a number, or it doesn't matter? Just staff, okay. Moved by Councillor Johnson to allow staff to attend the League of Minnesota Cities Council with no cap on the number of staff can go. Is there support for that? Is there support? Is there support? Motion fails for lack of support. Thank you. Okay, move to item 6 on the agenda, appearances. Under item 6.9, we have Mr. Mel Heinrich to discuss Article 5 of the U.S. Constitution. Mr. Heinrich, please come forward. Turn the mic on to light onto green, if you would, please. And welcome to the City Council meeting.
Well, I really appreciate you coming forward to speak something that's dear to my heart. I'm a patriot. I love our country and I love our Constitution. And when I swore to protect and defend the Constitution, I still do to this day. I'm from Duluth, and I'm with a nonprofit organization called Convention of States. And the idea of Convention of States is to get the states come together to correct the federal government. Article 5, there's two parts of it. One part where Congress can make amendments to the Constitution. Part 2 is where Convention of States. And what happens is that they put this in there for a couple of reasons why. It was that they wanted the citizens and states to be able to add to the Constitution. Next is that the new higher authority would want more authority, and they wanted the states to stay as solid as a republic. And I always say, you remember when you say the Pledge of Allegiance? It's always to the republic. And we're forgetting about this. Over the years, states have not fighting back for our freedoms, and as well as Congress as well. You know, liberty is being dwindled, And if you look at the Constitution, I always say, you got to look at Article 7 of the U.S. Constitution, where it spells out the job of the federal government: border, trade, and defense, and post office. Well, what happened is they wanted to make sure the states had their rights. And they added Article 10, and they knew the weasels would happen to try to do something. And I'll paraphrase it because there's a little more to it, is guarantee states and citizens' rights. And there's been issues that have been passed down already where it was achieved to override the federal government because of what they're doing. I'll give you an example. This is one of them, that overreaching authority is out in Arizona. This is a true story. She started building a house in the dry washout riverbed. She had to get her EPA approval from the state. She got the approval to start building, and lo and behold, her friendly neighbors called the feds, came knocking on her door and says, "Hey, you got to stop and see, so we're going to find the boozles out of you." She says, "Baloney, we'll go to court." So it made it all the way up to the Supreme Court, and she won it on 2 counts. One count is that EPA is writing laws that they don't have the authority to, given to them by Congress. Okay, and a lot of the cabinet levels thinking they have the authority, and it's something that has to be researched on this, and this is going too far. Next thing is reading why she won on Article 10 of the Constitution, because she had the approval from the state. And this is what I'm trying to get at, is that states have more power than the federal government. If you look at the layout of the Constitution, what I just got to saying is that states are supposed to take domestic, federal is supposed to take care of federal. And they're overseeing their authority onto the states, and it's time to rein it in. And remember that the states made the federal government, not the federal government making the states. And we are trying to achieve 3 items for an amendment. What happens is that for a Convention of States to exist, you need 34 states to happen. And what happens is that Congress at that time says there shall be, which it says in the Constitution, shall be a Convention of States. And Congress, the President, nor the Governor have anything to say about it. Only thing Congress has to do is delegate the time and place it's going to be held. And each state at that time that reached that 34 has 1 representative at each state at the table, equal amount. And what happens is that it has to be passed at the convention of 38 states, and it goes right down to the states to be passed. So it only takes 13 states, and the whole process of the amendment is null and void. And 3 areas we're trying to achieve is, like I said, one is the overreaching authority. I'll give you another one on the overreaching authority, is that when they introduced the Department of Education, it was for to help kids or people to go to college, and it's gotten to the point where it's overreaching authority onto the states and local governments. Education should always stay at the local governments, but now if you go to Washington, D.C., it's just like looking at the Pentagon. It's so big and humongous, and how can you figure out for education to be having that big? It's crazy. You know, it's just overreaching authority. And the things that they're doing now is people are really ticked what's going on. It'd be nicely putting it. They're overreaching in a lot of areas. Next is federal budget, it is basically federal budget restraints. And the idea of the game was to rein it in the spending, because right now it's over $300,000 for every man, woman, and child to pay for the national debt. And right now, the United States is losing its authority with the dollar. States ain't companies, as we're countries are dropping it, not wanting taking it, and we're losing our clout with it. All right, and it hurts us, because when we go under with the dollar bill, we have nothing. We go back into the depression like back in the 30s. Federal government has to be reined in. It was tried again back in the late 70s, early 80s was a movement on foot. It was called the Tea Party movement. And what happened was, the Tea Party movement happened. What happened was it passed Congress, and it went down to the states, and what happened was that 32 states passed it, not 38. It failed because the states did not have no input in that amendment. And also too is that has a lot to do with the 16th Amendment, because there's that clause in there where states get as a welfare clause, and it's over. They would, as to say, here's a carrot. You take the carrot. Well, you got to do what we got to do, And back then, states had the full power for what they did. Federal government only had the money they had was coming from tariffs, duties, and fines. And since that happened, at that time for taxing, it was like 1 to 7%, and now look where we're at, 35%. And we're hurting the businesses involved and everything else. And we are asking that cities, counties, and townships to help us in the petition that we're also doing for state of Minnesota to join in the convention. And it takes, we want, if you could, is to send a resolution, which you have a copy of it, which the state has already in possession in both houses, and to move forward for it. And to, you'll see if you pull it up on YouTube as well as Facebook, you'll see on Facebook, but on the web page, you'll see the full discussions. They'll go more into depth. You'll see legislatures talking about it. You'll see also people going from the committees. You can see people, politicians and to professors and constitutional lawyers. It's time for it. They put that in there purposely to rein it in, and it's never been done before. It's hard.
Well, thank you, Mr. Heinrich. Appreciate you coming in. We've passed out the copy of the resolution. We'll consider it. We'll take a look at it. We'll have a chance to review it. We have a committee of the whole meeting next week, and will give us a chance to digest that and moving forward. And I did research the Article 5 of the Constitution with respect to 38 states and 3/4 of a majority vote from each legislation in order to pass a resolution with respect to that. And I'm very familiar with your Patriot movement moving forward, so we appreciate you coming in and giving us some information and giving a request for us to consider this resolution.
And also, please tell others, because it's a petition. It's grassroots. It's our Constitution. It's not left, right, or the turtles. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Heinrich. Okay, thank you. Councilor Motley?
I just want to say one quick thing. Thanks for coming, but just one thing I caught. A lot of people don't realize that the states do have more power than the federal government, so I thought that was interesting you said that. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Well, thank you, Mr. Heinrich, for taking the trip up from Duluth. Okay, we'll move to item 6.2 on the agenda. Mr. Daniel Treistman, regarding the city charity titled "Someone Ought To," and discussion of the city ordinance. Mr. Treistman, would you please state your name for the record and welcome to the city council meeting?
Thank you very much. My name is Daniel Treistman. Do you want me to just talk now?
Certainly.
Sure. So I work as a chaplain at the hospital here in Virginia, and I also worked in the mental health field for about 20 years in a variety of different capacities. And today I'm here representing our charity, Someone Ought To, and then also the interest of our thrift store, Jackie's Attic, which is an extension of that charitable work. So a couple years, I'll give you a little bit of background and context on who we are and kind of what we do. A couple years ago, I'd be taking someone home from the hospital, and I'd see that they don't have a winter jacket, they don't have boots, just take them by Goodwill and get what they needed. Well, when Goodwill left the area, I realized that not only was there going to be a need for, family like mine, we do foster care, so you don't really know what size skates you're going to need for your kids from week to week, but also for social workers, treatment centers, area churches, home health care, and nurses to get the things that they need for clients. Police officer sees some guy in the street corner, wants to get him a sleeping bag. Is he going to really go into Target and buy a sleeping bag? It'd be nice to have something in the community for someone like that. As well, because of our connections with the different treatment centers and the homeless shelters and the area churches, I would routinely have someone come up to me. In fact, I see Joel here today. He came up to me a couple months ago and said, "Hey, do you know someone who needs a refrigerator?" I'm helping someone move on this weekend. They might need one. I won't know until this weekend. Or, "Hey, we just got custody of my niece. Do you know someone who's got an extra toddler bed?" I just helped someone move last week and we threw one away. And so I thought it would be great if there was a place where we could just store things until someone who needs it, treatment centers, Bill's House, the homeless shelter, AEOA, social workers, different resource centers, area churches could just come in and grab it. So I sent some emails to the city a couple years ago about that idea, and I talked to a bunch of area churches and went over to Rachel's thrift store back when it was Peggy's Treasures and asked them what they thought about this. And Peggy's Treasures, she thought it was a great idea, but they're raising money for the veterans. They don't want to hold on to an oven for 2.5 years waiting for that person who needs an oven. So I decided that if this is something that we think is important, the onus falls on us to do something about it. So we started collecting things in my garage. I don't know how many couches you think you can fit in the garage and still park a Yukon in there. The answer is 0. We got one stall. I haven't parked in my garage in years and probably never will again. So we started looking around for a place where we can keep things. I contacted the city to see if they knew of any properties or any places that we could lease. And we ended up, the only place that would contact us back was this little dinky shop storefront across the street from the library. And we set up this storage facility. But so many social workers started calling me asking, when can we get in? We need things for clients. When can we see what you guys have? We need some furniture. That we decided to open up with regular hours every weekday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. for people to come in and get what they needed. We had so many people off the street coming in that we had to figure out some kind of pricing system. Well, I don't want to just give things away to people because there's no dignity in walking in and just being given this gift. So we set up this set your own price thrift store where anyone who walks in can afford to get what they need. But if you don't have any money, I hand them a broom, hand them a shovel, give them a job. We do a lot of community service. A lot of parole officers will contact us routinely, and we do things like that in order to get people the things that they need. So we figured we'd do this for a year or two and then go completely bankrupt because it's a terrible business model. I'm from Philadelphia. Try something like that. They back up the truck and empty out in one day. But we did this for a while, and after a year, we realized that not only is it sustainable, but it's profitable. And so now I had the problem, what are we going to do with this money? And that's where our charity came in. We started up this 501c3 called Someone Ought To. And it's just taking the money that we get in excess through that and finding some operations. So we bought a moving truck and we use that to help people move. If you talk to AEOA, they call us routinely. We do several moving jobs a week. We use our facilities for storing things for displaced people. We do community meals. We have a little community garden that we set up. And this is kind of the work that we did. Well, we realized after a while that not only were the needs pretty big in the area, but the resources were really big too. And we wanted to match them up. And so I was contacted about 1.5 years ago by American. They were getting rid of all their old beds and mattresses. And they wanted to do a turnover. And they asked me how many could we take. And I'm looking at my little spot and I'm thinking, I don't know, like 2? And so we spent the next 2 days delivering as many beds, queen-size beds and mattresses out of, back then I just had a pickup truck, and said goodbye to 50 of them that get sent off to the dump or wherever. I'm thinking, we need a bigger space. So we recently, about 1 year ago, we contacted the city again to see if they had any ideas on any spaces that we could use, talked to a number of different real estate agents, tried to find something. The only people that would give us a place to look at after looking for several months, and even going back, it would have been several years, was 217 Chestnut. We went into the Royal Cafe, and we ended up purchasing that location. Shortly after purchasing the Royal Cafe, the city council unanimously passed an ordinance saying you can't operate a secondhand store within 500 feet of an existing secondhand store. I didn't understand what the thinking was behind that. We have multiple bars near each other. I don't know whether there was concern about too much density of helping the poor, or what the concern was, but they passed the ordinance unanimously. I contacted to see if there was some feedback from anyone from the council to see what the thinking behind that was. We didn't get any usable information from that. So anyway, what we're looking to do is get some more clarity on what the thinking is behind that, because whether or not we're able to develop that, for my way of thinking, and if you talk to Rachel, she's open about 3 days a week, we're open 5 days a week. I don't really know of too many other thrift stores, and certainly no one else who's doing what we're doing, we would love to be able to locate ourselves closer to her. So even if you put a number up limiting the number of thrift stores, that made sense to me. But to limit us from being close to each other, we partner routinely. She'll get a dresser that has no money that she can't sell. She'll give it to me. I get a giant hutch that isn't really useful but can raise money. I give it to her. It would be ideal with our partnership to be closer together. It's better for the community. It's better for the citizens. It's better for the people purchasing. And it's better for us. We can bring more people in, and I think it's more useful. So we were wondering if there's some clarity that we can have on why that ordinance exists and any way that we can operate within the confines of the expectations and the desires of the council with that in mind. We could just stop calling ourselves a secondhand store and just call ourselves a mission. We could stop paying taxes for sales and just use the term donations, which is fine. We could just stop paying, use the property and turn it into a mission and not pay whatever taxes we need to for property. We don't want to do that. We want to work with the city. We don't want anyone to accuse us of any impropriety. I know some people have issues with churches. As a nonprofit, we're happy to pay taxes on sales. We want to be able to contribute to whatever work you guys are doing here, but we want to also be able to find a way to keep moving forward in this direction. So if anyone has any feedback or any information concerning the ordinance that each one of you unanimously voted in favor of and explaining why that is, I'd love to get some feedback that I can tell to the board members.
Any questions, comments from the council at this point? The process, did this go through planning and zoning as a recommendation for an ordinance change? Pardon? Give me the council. Okay, thank you. Councilor Motley?
It's my understanding that Mr. Treisman has reached out to all of our departments that could kind of explain things. Jenny and Britt a little bit. Is that correct? Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry,
Thank you, Mayor.
I didn't understand what you said.
You reached out to the departments. I know you've talked to Jenny and to Britt, so I was just wondering if there was some, they're the professionals that would be able to help explain anything that you don't quite understand.
Yes, they said they have no information for me.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor.
We did reach out.
Well, I'll just make a quick comment, and then we could have this discussion, maybe have a meeting, have a discussion later on about maybe some other alternatives for you, okay? But for me, and I'm only speaking for myself here, the decision was made is that every one of us that sit on this council has compassion for those who need, compassion for people who are in need. And this was the discussion that was done on a regular basis. We've developed a community service officer program. We work with Range Mental Health. We're out in the community doing things to help people who can't help themselves or who people are in dire need, the homeless, the people who have mental health issues, those who don't have anything and they need a free pair of socks or shoes or, like you indicated, a furniture, whatever the case may be. None of us here are opposed to that. We are adamantly supportive of those kind of projects. For me personally, we have Goodwill stores on the main street. This is a business area downtown.
Sorry, what'd you say? I didn't catch that. You said Goodwill still on the main street, or?
No, Goodwill is not.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I says we have thrift stores on the main street.
Singular.
We have, well, no.
We have one thrift store on the main street.
We have we have yours.
We're not on the main street.
You're not, but you want to move over there,
We
correct?
do have two. We have one on the block, the 400 block.
Yeah. Yeah, we have.
What are they?
Twice as nice.
They're not open.
They still have a license.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's hard for people to go into a place if it's not open. So
Seasonal shop, but she
Yeah.
does get her annual license every year.
Well, they were open yesterday because I was in there. So, I mean, they open periodically. So I think in answer to your question is that for us, it's about zoning. It's about what is in the downtown area. So for me, I'm speaking for myself now here. So if there was a facility available to you off the main street somewhere that was not within the context of the city ordinance, we will be supportive of whatever service that you're going to provide, and it's very honorable and admirable that you do that. But it's about location as opposed to is about denying you the opportunity. So that's where I come from. I'm willing to find a different place for you, to have your thrift store, to work with you, to work with the community. We have compassionate people on this council that are willing to work with you. Our staff will try to find someplace else to go. But the ordinance applies because it's within the downtown business district in the main street where we're trying to attract.
It is a business, but it's not going to be if you don't let it be. We'd like it to be a business, but it's going to end up being a charity if you don't let us operate it as a business.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, I tell you what. Let me just defer once, maybe someone give you a little bit of additional information. Councilor Johnson?
Daniel, thanks for coming in today. Do you have a business plan?
For the thrift store?
Yes.
I think you've seen how terrible I am at business.
Do you have a business plan?
On what we're going to do?
A business plan.
So right now I have a business that's operating.
Okay,
and I'm looking to move the location.
You're looking for some direction.
No. So I have a business that's operating currently.
And my question is, do you have a business plan that goes along with that? A written document that...
Sure, I can give you something to read.
You're not answering my question, sir.
Yes, we have a business plan that was written up.
You have a business plan.
Yeah.
Has that been presented to us so that we can help figure out how we can best support you?
Sure. So I presented the plan before we began operations. I presented a plan once we began operations, and I'm willing to write a new plan based on the current location, if you prefer.
Because I don't recall seeing a business plan
Sure.
that has...
I can show you the email.
I'm coming from you, from my world as an educator and teaching business classes and teaching folks how to ensure that they are able to create sustainability. Because I think for me, that's one of my concerns as a city councilor, is the sustainability of a large building or any building, such as we had happen with the Salvation Army many, many years ago, was full of stuff, and they ceased operation, and that became a burden to the taxpayers.
Well, I think the last...
So, excuse me.
Sure.
So when you're asking for some reasons, for me, that would be a main concern of mine, is in a business plan, it talks about succession and what happens if it doesn't work, what happens if something happens. And for me, this council does have the authority to grant variances once things go through the right process. That's all stuff we can do. But for me, I need to know that if something happens to you tomorrow, that we're not left with an empty building filled with mattresses and people's stuff they don't want. And for me, that is something that as we're moving forward, we're going to make sure happens.
Sure.
Okay. So, I go to your store, I bring my people to your store, but this is about the long term of what the downtown district looks like, and should something happen. And as we move forward, maybe one of those old businesses doesn't have that because we didn't require it, and you talked about the bars. I can give you the answer to that. The reason there are so many bars in downtown Virginia is because we had an ordinance saying all the alcohol had to be sold on Main Street because this was the police department. We changed that while I've been on the council to say, we have a police department that goes everywhere. We no longer need to keep alcohol within 4 blocks. We have multiple liquor licenses that we give out, that people apply for. And nobody's applied for a liquor license downtown for quite a while that hasn't been established. So we're not, I'm feeling that you're feeling picked on, and that's not what's happening here. As we're moving the city forward, we're looking at how do we maintain a downtown district that's healthy and growing and diverse.
Sure.
Okay, so as you move forward, if those are some things and you can bring us that stuff, how are you going to fix that building? It is a public building. The rules are different for my house when I can put in an outlet as opposed to a public building that our planning department needs to go and inspect. The Royal was closed because of a water leak many years ago. My concern is what is in that building? Has it been abated? You've been stuff in a building that had water leak in it and was shut down for multiple years. Is there mold in that building that is now contaminating the stuff in your building? Those are my concerns specifically for your project, but overall, what does that look like for the downtown? So I hope that helps you understand why I voted the way I did.
Well, you didn't
move forward.
vote with the Royal in mind, did you?
Pardon?
You didn't vote with the Royal in mind.
I voted with the downtown business district in mind, knowing that a lot of our buildings downtown have been vacant for a long time, and most of them have some sort of structural challenges, whether it be roofs, plumbing, frozen pipes, steam, all of those things. So that's what I looked at when I helped make that decision on this council and voted yes. Thank you, Mayor.
Can I speak to that real quickly?
Just one moment, please.
Absolutely.
One moment. Thank you,
Certainly.
Mr. Priestman. So, thank you, Councilor Johnson. So what we're going to do is if you want to sit down again in a meeting, we try to find a place where this program that you have, someone ought to. It's a great idea. It's a great concept. It's a very compassionate form of service to people in need. We get that. We understand. We're willing to help you find an opportunity in order to run your business, in order to provide this service to the people. So go ahead.
Okay, sure. So as to the property on 217 Chestnut, it exists. It's there. The question is, if you don't want us to use it as a thrift store because of concerns about it not being commercial, what you're doing is forcing it to become less commercial. Right now, as a thrift store, people can come in and buy things. It does bring in people who, you bring your wife out hunting for the weekend, you're going hunting, fishing, she's got nowhere to be. Saturday afternoon, I got them calling me all the time, when are you opening up the shop? Do you have any weekend hours? I think it's great for the deli issue, or for Sugar Shack. I think it's great for the Five and Go to be able to have somewhere for people to shop when they come down there. Rachel's isn't going to be open as often as we are. We're able to be open every weekday. She isn't able to be open every weekend. We're able to be open on weekends. She's not able to do that. So I think that if your concern is that we want to make the downtown area a better usable space, my thinking would be, ideally, we use it as a shop. Secondarily, let's use it as something. And so if we can't use it as a shop, then it's forced to become a mission, because what else am I going to do? And I think that brings in the direction I'm reading, you don't want to go. And so what am I supposed to do with this property? Are you looking to buy it back from me? I mean, it exists. It's there. It's the operations of our mission. And so is there any thoughts on what is a acceptable or preferable use of this building in the downtown area, other than me using it for office space, which is what it's being used for now?
Well, Mr. Treisman, I'm going to put our planning director on the spot, Jenny Boubinet. She does a lot of work with respect to the zoning, what's going on downtown, what properties could be available, how could we best use your facility if it can't be used as a thrift store, what other ideas they may come up with to help you accomplish your mission, your goal and objective, and what the zoning ordinance requires with respect to if you wanted to change it to some other name as a mission or something else. So Jenny, you're willing to meet with him. Jenny will be with you and see if we can find some compromise or something to help you support this mission that you have here.
Okay, is that it?
Well, for me it is.
Sure. Did anyone else have anything else?
Well, Jenny.
Thank you, Mayor. The only thing I'd like to say is that I believe we do have a meeting
We
set
do
up
have-
for
yep.
April 16th at 1:30 PM to discuss this, so
Yep.
Very good.
thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. So let's, have the meeting at April 16th, see if something can be worked out, and we'll bring it back to Jenny, and you can come too, bring it back to the council.
Okay, did anyone else want to be able to meet with me and kind of talk about some of your visions or explanations at all?
Well, you want to meet with individual councilors, you can give them a call if you like, but when we make a decision, we make it based on recommendations from our staff. And our staff is professional in that regard. That's what we hire them to do. And so you meet with Jenny, and they'll make recommendations moving forward, and we'll discuss it at whatever meeting they deem appropriate, whether it's a public meeting for community hall or whatever.
Well, Councilor Johnson seems surprised by the fact that I didn't have a business plan when I know I'd sent them to you guys. Yeah. And so I'm wondering whether there's a better way to meet rather than through email.
We'll revisit that, and if there's a business plan, we'll have that disseminated to all the councilors. Councilor Johnson?
Mr. Chesler, one of the things you need to remember is you cannot meet with each one of us and tell us the same thing. That is a serial meeting, and it's illegal based on Minnesota statute. So this is the best way to get your information to us and then directly meeting with the staff and then having that disseminated. We have to be very careful with what our rights and responsibilities are as elected officials. So it's nothing personal about meeting with you, it's just we have to be very careful.
So just to clarify what Councilor Johnson said, when, we are by law restricted on what we can say we can do together as a council. So if you tell one councilor one thing, you have a meeting with the council, and that councilor meets with another councilor, that councilor meets with another councilor, that's a serial meeting, and we're not, by law, that's considered to be, it's not authorized by law. So that's why we use our staff. We all get the information at the same time. We all discuss the information at the same time. We all have the same information in a timely manner. So that's how these things work, just work through our staff. And then you'll bring it forward, and then at a public meeting, we'll all discuss it.
I would like to add that most days, there are no thrift stores in the downtown area open, on most days.
Well, they're the licensed, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speak.
Which doesn't really mean anything to the public trying to purchase things.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Freely.
Thank you. I don't want to perseverate much longer, but I do want to acknowledge and recognize the fact that you do honorable work in this city, and I appreciate that, and I recognize that. And from what I've heard so far, I'm trying to condense and simplify what I need to know to be able to get you to move forward with what you need to get done. And is it the ordinance that's handcuffing you so that there's two like entities too close to each other, even though you're collaborating with that entity? Is that the issue?
That's a big challenge, yeah.
Okay, so then what I would wonder, do we have the authority as a council at some point, even after the meeting on April 16th or whatever it may be, to provide a variance to that ordinance to provide that opportunity for them to collaborate with like entities and move forward with whatever needs to be accomplished? So that's just where I'm at. I guess what I'd like to see this city be able to do is simplify things to the point where we are accommodating things that need to be accomplished in this city instead of putting up roadblocks and obstacles, which I understand technically we need to do, but in practicality, it doesn't assist us with the mission that we have in this community to help others in need. So enough said for my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Streisman.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Move on to the next item on the agenda. Thank you very much. Item number 7.1, the clinic lease. Any movement on that, as with Mr. Modich and Essentia Health? Brian?
We did have a meeting, Mayor, but nothing to report back at this point, but I believe there will be.
Okay, thank you. Another meeting shortly. Okay, thank you. Item 7.2, the property at 410 5th Street South. Anybody have any questions or comments about that? That's moving forward. We're getting closer and closer to the deadline for the fine to be paid if the work isn't being done.
Mayor, I'll defer, but I believe that fine has been paid.
It has been okay. We're looking for some clarification on that. Jenny?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The fine has been paid. It was paid on April 2nd. It was the first fine, $300, and work has begun. The property maintenance code violations have been cleared. The permit is valid, and work is continuing to be done as of recently. So we're still checking in and following that timeline of expectation for work to be done. Thank you.
So the milestone has been met where they paid the fine and moving on to the next level of responsibility on the part of that owner of that property.
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's move to item 8, discussion items. Item 8.1, adopt a resolution approving the establishment of Municipal Development District Number 7 and the development program, therefore, and creation of a tax increment financing plan for Tax Increment Financing District 7-1, a redevelopment district, and authorizing an interfund loan. So what is the interfund loan? If someone can explain that. Someone did ask me that, so I said, and I didn't have the answer. Thank you.
Tammy Umdahl with Northland Security, serving as advisor to the city on the TIF district. The interfund loan that is part of the resolution has to do with, under Minnesota law, if you incur costs that you want to reimburse from future tax increment, you must pass a resolution before you incur those costs. In the case of the proposed district and the agreement with the private property owner, the developer, there will be costs incurred in advance because there is proposed to be some upfront tax increment financing assistance provided, and any administrative costs that the city may incur and will incur prior to the first increment being received would be subject to that interfund loan. So it gives you the ability to reimburse yourself from future tax increment.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Looking for a motion or any further discussion.
I will move the resolution approving the establishment of Municipal Development District number 7.
Thank you. Moved by Councilor Johnson. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Councilor Motley. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 8.2 is the adoption of a resolution of the City of Virginia authorizing the approval of a contract for private development with the Rockstep Virginia LLC.
So moved.
Moved to approve by Councilor Johnson. Is there support?
Support.
By Councilor Motley. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Mia. Appreciate it very much. Thank you, Jody. Okay, we'll move to item 9, committee reports. The committee of the whole meeting that was held on April 2nd, 2024. We'll turn this portion of our council meeting over to our city administrator, Rich C. Bennett. Rich?
Thank you. Our committee of the whole meeting on Tuesday, April 2nd. We had a presentation from Jenny Bourbonnais, from Brad Gustafson from St. Louis County, and from Teresa Applewick from the Chamber regarding a project that they're part of called United for Housing. I don't know if you want to give a little update, Jenny? I'm sorry to put you on the spot like that, but you can probably describe it better than I can.
No, that's fine. Thank you. So yes, we gave a presentation regarding the Laurentian Chamber of Commerce housing cohort that we're a part of, and just kind of educating on where we are in the process, gave some numbers to what construction costs may be for certain types of development, and then hoping to update the council on a more regular basis moving forward. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer, but that was basically the presentation that we provided. It was just to give some education.
Thank you, Jenny.
And then we had Pat Wirtz and Sean Lewis from Carl Sanderson and John McNamara from Wold there to give an update on our Public Safety Center. Bids were received in August 2023, and they've been working on the firms that had applied the bids to right-size the building in order to stay within our prescribed budget. $4 million was removed from the budget, which was our overage, and now the project is currently within budget. And at this time, we have a resolution in our packets to approve the resolution authorizing Carl Sanderson to proceed with the Public Safety Center project.
So move.
Move to approve by Councilor Freely and supported by Councilor Johnson. Is there any further discussion? Thank you, Mr. Lewis from Carl Sanderson, taking over for Pat Wirtz. He's a new Pat Wirtz guy over here. Now he's been taking over. Pat Wirtz is going to be working out of the Bemidji office. Thanks for your patience moving forward with this. It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. And I was not at the committee of the whole meeting, so I apologize if this question already got answered. So on the overall project total is at $31,754,101. Of that total project, we received, or we will be receiving, state bonding or state funds of $11,500,000. The balance of that then is broken out into our USDA loan and then a grant from the IRRB onto additional things. I do have one question, and that is regarding the bond payment. It's $1 million a year, is that correct? And when we increased our levy last year, or for 2024, Sherry, we included that bond payment. So now that that $1 million bond payment is now included, it will not be, there will be no levy increase for 2025 because we moved that, we have basically apportioned that, those funds.
Sherry?
Correct, Counselor Paulson. And I'm
Okay.
sorry I'm coughing.
No, I know, I think we all are. Do you need a cough drop? I have one. So I just
yeah,
wanted
it's in there.
clarification so that the public understands that we did move that payment already into our levy. So that is part of our as a budget item, a line item in our budget. And I guess the effect of that was felt in 2024.
That is correct. And I
Thank you.
do want to say, since we did start payments, they'll actually start this year. We cut off 1 year. Instead of 120, now we're 19 years. I know it doesn't help us, but future generations.
But the sting was taken at the 2024 levy cycle in our budget. Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Paulson. It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
It was moved and supported to approve the resolution to reappoint the Pod Pesca Agency as our agent of record for our property and liability insurance.
So moved.
Move to approve by Councilor Beyondich. Is there support?
Support.
By Councilor Paulson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
We had discussion regarding the municipal garbage pickup and with the 300-gallon dumpsters we have, and at one time we had looked at getting individual 90-gallon dumpsters. It was moved and supported to direct city staff to review the city ordinance regarding refuse collection and potential change for garbage pickup and also individual recycling.
Yeah, we discussed this, to take a look at the ordinance for how we collect our refuse. And one of the ideas, among others, is for potential pickup of individual garbage and recycling. What's our plan on the ordinance to provide residential and business garbage, and then if there's an alternative recycling opportunity for available for them to buy, contract out, or whatever the case may be. So that's part of the resolution, directing staff to take a look at that. That came out of our committee of the whole meeting.
I'll make the motion to direct city staff.
Thank you. Councilor Motley makes a motion to move. Is there support? Is there support?
What is the motion? Sorry, I had to step out.
So the motion is to direct city staff to review the ordinance for refuse collection in the city for potential pickup of individual garbage and recycling.
Support.
Supported by Councilor Johnson. Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
It was moved and supported to approve the job description and the filling of the updated accounting clerk 1 position in the finance department.
I'll move.
Support.
Moved by Councilor Paulson, supported by Councilor Johnson, to fill the vacant accounting clerk 1 position, which was vacated by accounting clerk 3. Is that correct? So, thank you. Has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Friedli.
Is this a requirement for the separation of duties by the auditing firm that has told us we don't have enough people in that position?
Yes.
So this is a required position to be able to meet that standard.
Thank you, Councilor Friedli. It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
It was moved and supported to approve filling the library associate youth service position with the updated description.
So move.
Support.
Moved to approve by Councilor Johnson and supported by Councilor Friedli. Is there any further discussion? This position has been recently vacated by a longtime library employee who was taken, can I say it?
Yes.
Has moved on to take the position of the Airhead Library Director, who's who was vacated by the retiring Jim Welcome, the mayor of Biwabic. So, no, that is not correct?
Stephanie,
Please correct me.
so Jody Grebanoski, Library Director. Stephanie is taking on the Youth Services Regional Library for the Arrowhead Library System. So she will be working with the 27 public libraries and the over 100 plus school libraries. So she will still be heavily involved in library services, just at the regional level and not at the city level.
Thank you for that clarification, Jody. So it has been moved and supported to fill this position. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Motley.
I just want to state why I will not be supporting this position being filled. I'm looking at, again, comparing the city of Hibbing to Virginia, and I know we're separate cities, but when you have a population of Virginia being a little over 8,200 taxpayers, and you have the city of Hibbing at 16,000 plus, and I have their Hibbing's library budget for 2024 at $586,043. And the city of Virginia with half the population, our budget is $1,049,150. That's almost right under, but almost double Hibbing's library fund, and we are half the population. So at this time, I am a no and will not be supporting this. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Councilor Paulson. Councilor Johnson?
I will be supporting this, recognizing that this population has nothing to do with the circulation of our library, and our library circulation ranks right up there with number 3 with Duluth and Cloquet. Is that, or, Duluth is,
Jody,
but anyway,
yeah.
my point is that the number
forward,
of
Jody.
bodies within city limits is irrelevant when it comes to the amount of circulation and the number of people that utilize our facility from everywhere around us. So that's why I will be supporting the library. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion?
If I might, Mayor.
Yes, please,
I
Councilor
just want to
Freely.
add that
Yeah,
my wife
please.
and I brought our grandchild to the programming that Stephanie put on in her waning days. And I'll speak again. She is exceptional, and the programming that is provided by the public library in Virginia is top notch. I would even compare it statewide in my mind. I know that's just a personal opinion, but that I can't. The value of that programming that is put on in that library for the youth in this community, you can't put a price on it. So I will be supporting this. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So any other further discussion? Okay, and I guess I'm going to just make a little comment about, I know that there's been a lot of angst in the community about the number of library staff that we have, and they've been kind of a focus on the community about where we're going to reduce our budget and how we can reduce the budget in such a way where we can reduce our labor costs in many areas, and the library has been a target of that, and primarily for the number of employees they have. And so for me, it's about our city administrator and staff and our human resource director working with the library director to try to reduce costs, to redesign, reestablish, and job descriptions in order to try to reduce the costs that are incurred at the library. Now, if there's a library clerk position that has been filled, okay? And so if this was another library clerk position, I wouldn't be supporting it. But this particular position is critical to the services that they provide to youth in this community, the expertise for that. So, that being said, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Roll call, please.
Motley,
No.
Freely,
Aye.
Paulson,
Aye.
Beyondich, Johnson,
Aye.
Barnzelli, Mayor Coffey.
Aye. Motion passes 6-1. Thank you.
It was moved and supported at the Committee of the Whole meeting to approve the memorandum of understanding with the 6th Judicial District of North St. Louis County for the Range Mental Health Court.
So moved.
Moved to approve by Councilor Johnson, supported by Councilor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
It was moved and supported to approve the memorandum of understanding with St. Louis County Sheriff's Office and the Virginia Police Department regarding treatment of security information.
So moved.
Moved to approve by Counselor Motley, and supported by Counselor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
It was moved and supported to approve the Adopt a Drain 2024 program with North St. Louis Water Conservation District at no cost to the city.
So moved.
Moved to approve by Counselor Motley, support by Counselor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Brian Silber, our Parks and Recreation Director, was present to talk about the golf course restaurant lease interviews. At the Committee of the Whole meeting, it was moved and supported to direct city staff and up to 2 city council members to begin negotiations with Tim Krachowski of the Carper-Nickel in Aurora as the golf course restaurant leasee.
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Johnson. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Paulson. Further discussion? We have those 2 counselors set up already to sit in on that?
We do not.
Okay, so we need to
Meeting
appoint
on Thursday at 9.
Thursday at 9? So we need 2 counselors to sit in, up to 2
Up
counselors?
to 2 counselors, yes.
Okay, this is to begin the negotiations for the lease. Counselor Johnson,
I'd be willing to, since I'll be at City Hall on Thursday for other meetings as well.
you'll be available, Counselor Johnson?
Yes, I would be.
Counselor Johnson has volunteered to serve. Is there someone else who is willing to sit in?
Doing MAPE that day? 11?
Yeah.
Will this be enough time to be able to?
Yeah.
Okay,
If-
yeah, Counselor Freely. Anyone else like to throw their hat in the ring for consideration? And I will look for a motion to appoint Counselor Johnson, Counselor Freely, along with city staff to begin negotiations for the lease for the golf course restaurant with Tim Kachowski, owner of the Copper Nickel.
So moved.
By Counselor Paulson, moves. Is there support? Is there support? Is there?
We had to vote on the first one.
Oh, I apologize for that. Again, so what's the motion?
Direct staff and up to 2 council.
Okay, that's a motion. Okay, the motion to direct the council. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now, a motion on the floor to appoint Counselor Johnson and Counselor Freely to the negotiating team along with the city staff to begin negotiations with Tim Kachowski, owner of the Copper Nickel restaurant in Aurora, for the golf course restaurant.
So moved.
Moved to approve by Counselor Paulson. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Counselor Motley. Is there any further discussion?
Will the meeting be held in Virginia? I mean, at the city, here?
My office, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we got your answer? Okay, moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Yeah, hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
No further items from that meeting. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Okay, we'll move to item 10, Commission Liaison Reports. Does any councilor have a Commission Liaison report they'd like to disseminate today? Seeing none, we'll go to Department Head Reports. Britt, anything else to offer?
Sure. Tomorrow, we have this League of Minnesota Cities at our Iron Trail Motors Event Center. They're doing their regional safety meeting here. They really like our facility, which is great. This is I think their 3rd year back there. So we're kind of excited to see them. Starts at 8:30 tomorrow, and it should be a fun day of learning with the League of Minnesota Cities.
Okay, thank you very much, Britt. Anything from legal? Brian? Nothing from legal. Thank you. Anything from Finance HR? Sherry?
Yes, the auditors are in-house. I think we're moving along pretty good. Thank you for the vote to go ahead and fill this vacant accounting position, because I'm doing some of that too. And when I sure hope Pam is enjoying herself, because when she gets back.
And she's due back What, was it June 1st?
Next, yeah.
I'm only joking. No, yes, very true. Thank you. Jenny, anything from planning and permitting?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, just one reminder that we're still taking in rental code applications in order to schedule inspections in an appropriate time. So make sure to, get those applications in. We're ready to go and ready to get you through the process. Thank you.
Thank you. And we do have these brochures, the rental code brochures that can help you, guide you through this process. You have them here at City Hall. We send one out to you. There's a bunch in the mayor's office. So if you want some information about it, it's a very detailed, informative brochure is being disseminated through our city. So thanks for your work on that one, Britt and Jenny. Thank you. Okay. Any other department head reports? Jody Grebanowski, our library director. Jody, once again, welcome.
Thank you, and I just want to say thank you and happy National Library Week. So this week, we already had baby story time today. So tomorrow is Mystery Game starting at 2:30, and we have family story time on Friday. Next week, the art studio is back in the building at 10 o'clock. We still do have a couple places available, so just give the library a call to reserve your place, and that's at 218-748-7525. We have an all-ages towel stamping next week on Wednesday on the 17th. And so those are just for the next couple weeks. And just as FYI, so since Ms. Stephanie has made a very big impact on many people throughout the community, I know her littles were not they were very sad that she's leaving, but she is having an active play on the 26th of April, and that'll also be a time we're setting aside so people can come and wish her really good luck. So that is also it is the 26th. Active play starts at 10:30. Little gathering for Stephanie will start at 11:30, so people can come say goodbye. So you can also bring your kids to active play. It'll be inside. It's usually they have a good time. They have to close the door so that only because the littles like to try and escape. So it's also, you can hear their giggles almost all the way upstairs. But yeah, that's what I have for you for the next 2 weeks.
Very good. Thank you, Jody. So, okay. Any other department head reports? None? I'll move to item 12, council reports. Does any council have a report they'd like to give? And then I have a few comments as well. Councilor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. I will remind everybody about Breakfast Connections tomorrow, sponsored by Revive and the Public Library. And I also want to take a moment. We've been talking about healing and the trauma the city's gone through over the last many months, but specifically the strike. And I want to remind all of our employees and all the counselors that we do have access to Sand Creek employee assistance programming. They can help with anything. They can help with your mental health. They can help with financial planning. They can help with numerous things. I'm just on their website. And this is one of the benefits that we as a city provide to our staff that allows them to process with something that has nothing to do with the city. It's free, it's confidential. There's nothing that we get that identifies anybody that using that. If you need that information, you can look them up at Sand Creek. The website is allonehealth.com. But if you Google Sand Creek EAP, there's phone numbers and there's a bunch of stuff, and they even have a portal that you can go in and manage some of your stuff. So just really want folks to know that there is help out there if you're struggling with anything as a city employee, that you have access to very high quality mental health, financial health, and numerous other things that I haven't even discovered yet. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Johnson. Okay, anybody else? So before we go into the next item on the agenda for closed session, well, first I want to ask Britt, and if you've already made this, please, excuse this comments I'm going to be making here. I'm making a request for the city council. Not that I need one, but I'm looking for some formal support for us to meet with the school regarding 2nd Street South in front of the school, where it's in pretty bad shape, It's continuing to be in bad shape. It needs to be repaired. People can't drive up and down that road. In addition to that, some further discussion on 4th Street and maybe on 6th Avenue as well. I'd like to have a meeting with school officials and talk about, some remediation, how that's going to work, if we can get some buy-in and some assistance from the school with respect to this. I know there's some safe school grants out there that we applied for. We didn't get this last time, but we'll continue to look forward. But I'd like to have somebody from staff or even from the council or the mayor to meet and talk about this street and how we're going to repair it and how this is going to affect the residents that are there and how is it on both sides on 4th Street and 2nd Street, because the roads are horrible and they need to be repaired. And the money, we don't have the money for that coming up. We didn't get the safe school grants, we said before. We're looking for some innovative ways to put some overlays and fix that street up there. I know the school put in curb and gutter on one side of the street. There's no curb and gutter on the other. Just to sit down and see if we can have a collaborative and find a way in which to make that a drivable street again before the school opens in the fall. So I'd like, whether it's in form of a motion or something, to meet with the school with respect to that particular issue. The residents themselves are going to have apparently organize a meeting with respect to the effect that's been on their homes during this construction period. But for us, it'll be about the street and how we fix every street, and how we come to a collaborative to find the money to do so. Councillor Paulson.
I would be happy to make that motion, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Motion by Councillor Paulson. Is there support? Is there support? Support, finally. Thank you, by Councillor Friedlieb. Is there any further discussion? Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. I do believe that before this project started, we had some agreements with them about sharing costs, and would like to remind the council the project's still not done. I mean, they're still doing significant work. They're going to be, I'm guessing they'll be bringing in some big equipment over the summer for playground installation, tree installation, and that kind of stuff. So I feel like we're kind of jumping the gun a little bit on meeting with them. I would prefer if we just did an informal request and see what Kraus Anderson or whoever what their timeline is on maybe it's already taken care of. So I don't think it needs to be a formal meeting with councilors and the mayor and such. So thank you.
Yeah, I guess I misspoke. I'm not asking for them to have a formal meeting. We should have somebody from us to reach out to Kraus Anderson. We have already talked to Kraus Anderson about it. Already talked about the school's representative about potential meeting and some potential funding for this. But I said I really can't discuss it further until I get, let the council know that this is going on. So I'm asking for your support in which to do so. If I don't get it, I have the authority to meet and confer anyway, but I just want to see if we're on the same page here. And the timeline could be changed, could be different moving forward. It could be after this, they're all done with the construction project, but we do not have a formal agreement about that street. There's been some discussion about it, but there is no formal agreement. So has been moved and supported. Further discussion. Councillor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm actually fine with the timeline. I think that the conversation needs to start. But I've had concerns about even the public safety when we're building that. Who's going to be responsible for the repair of 2nd Avenue? And this, I just believe that the contractor, I think as you have the discussion, I think, is there insurance that the contractor has for their big rigs tearing up the roads? And even if playgrounds are going to go in or what have you, there's still going to be big rigs in and out. So to me, this is a partial liability on the contractors or whomever is. I mean, we had this same exact problem with, what's the name of the road leading up to 1404 and 1402? It is Progress Parkway. Mm-hmm. So it's the same exact situation that happened there, and I can foresee it happening right on 2nd and Railroad Avenue and in between 8th and 10th. So I think it's an expectation that the council needs to maybe be placing on contractors as we move forward with larger projects that would bring in heavy equipment. But I guess I think that's a very important meeting to have, but I would also recommend having them check out their insurance, as I think that it shouldn't be the city's responsibility or the schools to fix it. But I know you'll go into conversation with that, and I'm fully supporting that. Thank you.
And I think all I'm asking to do is just have a general meeting with the school administration staff and to talk about, is there an appetite for, coming to some agreement moving forward, or looking for some other options, or supporting some funding resource for that. It's a school project. They hired the contractors. And so, it's all part of the school, even though Carl Sanderson is the construction manager at risk and all the subcontractors that use that facility. It's the school that caused this. There is some information that some photographs were taken prior to the beginning of the construction to show that the condition of the road at that time, which concerns me about maybe not having any liability in that regard. But I think it bodes well for some kind of a conversation moving forward to just to get an idea and at least find out where they're at. So anyway, thank you for your comments, Councilor Johnson. It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed?
No.
Roll call, please.
Motley,
Yes.
Seelig, Paulson,
Aye.
Nowandich,
Aye.
Johnson,
No.
Ronzelli.
Aye. Motion passes 6-1. Thank you. Any other council reports before we move to item number 13 on the agenda? Okay. Sorry? Who does? Oh, sir, did you want to speak? Oh, well, I apologize for that. I didn't see you on the agenda. Please come forward. Thank you for your patience. And if you would please turn that light on to green and state your name for the record, sir, and then welcome to the City Council. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There we go.
Thank you.
Joel Kalberg, I pastor True Hope Fellowship in the Midway. It's an Assembly of God church.
Yes, sir.
And I've been there almost 15 years. And I want you to know I enjoyed listening to your discussion back and forth tonight. We have, with a number of other churches for 5 or 6 years in various spots around the community, we have conducted what we call a Bible readathon, where we start and we read through the entire Bible without stopping. And there's a proposal here that I won't waste your time to read because you all read just fine. That we, if it's possible, that we can use a lot down on Chestnut that the city owns. And you can read through this. It's the dirt lot between VFW and the old Royal Cafe. On this is the time that we would be using it. And I want to note that we have done this probably 5 or 6 times now. And we have somewhere usually between 100 and 140 participants. And usually we have 10 to 15 different faith groups involved in this. And if it's necessary, we can provide an insurance binder as well. So that's basically the proposal that I'm putting before you. Any questions?
Thank you, Pastor. Well, no lights on in the council yet. For me, as I'm familiar with this Bible-a-thon. They used to have it over in the parking lot at the Critter Care Center
Yes.
for many, many years. So I participated in that over the years in that regard. So I know you've had it before. You've had it on private property. So this is something you've done on a regular basis. I don't know what the issue is with respect to a rental of that facility, but is that a rental opportunity, or is this just a request?
We already rented out half of it to the Legion for parking.
Yep.
So that would be a discussion we'd have to with the Legion about where you're going to kick them out
Are
for the
we
day.
renting that to the Legion?
We already have an agreement with them that they can use it for parking.
Right.
And to put that many hundreds of people in there around the vehicles that are parking in there, I don't know that that would be. So that's something, do you need an answer today, or because something we can do a little bit investigation?
Well, we got a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was proposed to me, and it's a great spot because there's going to be a lot of foot traffic.
So normally what you do, if I may, is it the same as you always do? You have people come in and read for a half hour, then they go and somebody else comes in for a half hour, or whatever it is, read chapters of the Bible, and then you have some coffee and snacks and stuff within that tent structure that you have. So you're not having 140 people at one time. It's just that they're coming all, one at a time, or a couple of them at a time. Is that correct?
It takes about 72 to 74, 76 hours, depending on how fast people read, to read all the way through the Bible.
Sure.
So we read right through the night. People sign up for 15-minute segments.
50 minutes, okay, thank you. I couldn't remember, but, okay, Councilor Johnson, and then over to Councilor Paulson.
I would move that we move this to the committee of the whole meeting so that we can look up we can have the discussion with VFW and so forth, and we can get you an answer that is grounded in our research, so we're not making promises to you.
Okay.
That's my motion.
And thank you. And that committee, it's a motion on the floor. Is there support? Support by Councilor Freely. Further discussion. And our next committee of the whole meeting would be this next Tuesday at 9 o'clock. Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for bringing this forward, and thank you so much for waiting so long.
Yeah.
I wanted to just ask you, so I have a building, Rox the Jewelers, and there's a space between Rox and Peps, the old Rox the Jewelers. Would that space be sufficient in size for you guys?
I don't know. I can come look at it. What's the address?
It was, let's see, it was 316 Chestnut. So it's the space between Peps, and Peps is putting a cooler behind there. But if you think that space would work for you, I would welcome your group.
Give me your phone number.
How about after the meeting?
Oh, yeah.
You can reach me at Rox the Jewelers. You can,
Okay.
Yep,
At the Jewelers.
you got it.
All right.
Sorry if I shouldn't have said my business name, but
That's
I'm
fine.
happy to help you out if that would help alleviate
Okay.
anything.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I understand. I did not know that it was already rented out.
Well, we do have a motion on the floor to have staff research that for you, which we'll do, and bring it back to the committee home meeting next Tuesday for discussion. We'll have some more additional information. We'll talk to the Legion. We'll figure out that. And then at the same time, you will have the same opportunity between now and then to visit that property that Councilor Paulson has suggested to you as an alternative. And so by next Tuesday, we'll be able to discuss, that lot where the Legion is, and then you'll have an opportunity to visit the lot that Councilor Paulson has proffered. And so you could, maybe if that works for you, it could work.
Well, do I need to come to the meeting next Tuesday?
I don't believe it's necessary for you to do so unless the council requests that you be there. No, you do not have to.
Okay. And somebody will get back to me about that meeting
They will.
in lieu of me connecting with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pastor, and my apologies for not calling you forward. I
should have stood up and waved and hollered or something.
I might have saw
I'm
you.
sure you get some of that.
Well, that's okay. And again, thank you for your patience, Pastor.
Yep. Okay. Thank you much.
Yes, thank you. Okay, before we go into closed session, anybody else have anything they'd like to proffer? Please come forward. Jody, please state your name for the record and welcome to the council meeting.
Yes, good evening. Jody Vest, representing Rockstep Capital. And as the council and you, Mr. Mayor, are going into closed session, I won't have an opportunity to thank all of you because you'll be in closed session. So just wanted to extend not only Rockstep's thanks, but my thanks as a former resident of Virginia and as somebody who works in Virginia and shops in Virginia and supports the community of Virginia. Your dedication and support, not only to our project, but to other projects throughout the community over the years, have made this community a place where I think we can all be very proud to represent. And you are all very much, in my mind, forward thinkers and supporters of development, redevelopment, economic development. And with your foresight and your support, I only see continued great things coming for the city of Virginia. And I just wanted, again, to thank you for your support.
Thank you, Jody, very much. Okay. Anything else that will come before the council before we move into closed session, Britt? Okay. Item 13 on the agenda is a motion to move into closed session for contract negotiations update regarding the MAPE contract. And this portion of the meeting may be closed or will be closed pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.05, Subdivision 3 for labor negotiations. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
By Councilor Johnson and supported by Councilor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. A bill, we're now in closed session. Thank you.